What if there were no wars? No trenches in World War I, no bombs over Hiroshima, no Cold War, no Afghanistan war, no civil wars, tearing families apart. What if humanity simply chose peace? This isn't just a dream. It's a question that defines us all. Join me on a journey to imagine a world where conflict never existed and discover what we might become. Chapter 1. The Cost of War. What we lost since the dawn of civilization. Human beings have been locked in a relentless cycle of conflict. Every war etched scars into the earth and into our collective soul. More than 600 million lives were extinguished in the fury of battle. Entire cities were flattened until once bustling streets lay silent. Homes were reduced to dust, and memories were trapped in crumbling walls. Brilliant minds were conscripted into weapons factories, when they could have been healing hospitals or building schools. Scientists were driven to perfect newer, deadlier machines instead of breakthrough cures. Artists were silenced by the roar of artillery, while refugees fled with empty hands and heavy hearts. Children born into gunfire learned fear before they learned to walk. Dreams were replaced by nightmares of drones overhead and soldiers at every turn. Families were torn apart as borders bled red and loyalties were forced by violence. Mothers carried grief so deep it echoed through generations. Fathers were haunted by faces they could no longer find. Every bullet fired stole a story, a laughter, a future. Imagine the poets whose verses never reached an audience. Imagine the physicians who might have discovered life-saving treatments. Imagine the engineers who could have invented technologies to lift us all. Picture rivers poisoned by explosives and fields turned to dust. Imagine forests leveled to feed the insatiable appetite for destruction. Think of the budgets drained into endless arms races, when they could have rebuilt schools and hospitals. Consider the progress sacrificed on the altar of conflict, only to be pieced together again at even greater cost. The cost of war is not measured merely in numbers. It is measured in what might have been. Every fallen soldier could have been a teacher, a parent, a pioneer. Every shattered home could have been a place of laughter, of learning, of community. Every lost year of peace was a chapter of humanity's story that went unwritten. Imagine if those 600 million lives had been lived to their fullest potential. If their ideas had taken root and grown. If resources had been devoted to cultivating hope instead of fueling fear. The true price of war is not in the weapons laid to rest. It is in the futures forever altered, and the potential forever unrealized. Chapter 1 ends with this singular truth. War steals more than lives. It steals the very essence of what we could become. Chapter 2. The benefits of peace. An alternate timeline begins. Imagine a world where humanity chooses peace over conflict. Resources once poured into tanks and missiles are redirected to classrooms, hospitals, and clean energy grids. Scientific progress accelerates without the stop-start rhythm of wartime funding cuts and post-war rebuilding. Medical breakthroughs arrive faster, driven by a shared desire to improve life rather than to treat battlefield wounds. Researchers collaborate across borders, instead of competing for classified contracts, turning rivals into global vaccination campaigns, wipe out preventable diseases a generation sooner, saving millions of lives that war would have impacted. Communities thrive as borders become bridges and passports feel more like invitations than checkpoints. Students study abroad, not as refugees from conflict, but as ambassadors of curiosity, carrying ideas home instead of trauma. Cultures blend in music, food, and language, creating a richer shared heritage for everyone. Tourism booms in places that were once front lines, transforming former battlefields into parks and research campuses. Economies flourish because defense budgets no longer siphon trillions from public coffers. Funds flow into sustainable infrastructure, high-speed transit, and affordable housing that lifts entire regions out of poverty. Microloans reach the most remote villages, seeding startups that solve local problems with global impact. Green technologies scale rapidly, slashing carbon emissions as nations compete only to be the cleanest, not the strongest. Peace rewrites the labor market. Engineers design water purification systems instead of warheads, and coders build open-source health records instead of former soldiers retrain as teachers, architects, and conservationists, adding skilled hands to every sector, starved of talent during wartime. Cities once scarred by conflict become hubs of innovation that attract scientists rather than mercenaries. The environment heals. 2. Forests no longer fall to make room for military bases, and oceans stay clearer without naval war games that churn marine habitats. Satellites launched for climate monitoring replace those meant for surveillance, giving humanity real-time data to fight wildfires and floods together. Yet peace is more than the absence of war. It is the presence of justice, equity, and mutual respect. Diplomats spend their careers refining treaties on water rights, digital privacy, and planetary defense, instead of ceasefire negotiations. Citizens hold leaders accountable because wartime secrecy no longer shields corruption, and transparency becomes a cultural norm. Peace still demands vigilance. The fight shifts from trenches to town halls, from bullets to ballots, from domination to dialogue. Societies invest in early warning systems for inequality and misinformation, stopping unrest before it festers into violence. This is the world boom. Science invites you to imagine a planet where potential is unlocked, futures are bright, and the only arms race is a race to cure disease, explore space, and protect the Earth we share. Let us envision this reality together and work each day to bring it closer, one peaceful choice at a time. Chapter 3: Technology, Science, and SPACE. Uninterrupted progress. Imagine scientists free from the demands of defense contracts, collaborating openly across the globe. Laboratories share data in real time, turning rivals into partners and accelerating discovery. Artificial intelligence research focuses on solving climate change and curing diseases instead of battlefield simulations. Renewable energy breakthroughs scale instantly, powered by international teams rather than siloed military projects. In this timeline, the moon landing of 1969 was only the beginning of a united space program involving dozens of nations. Space stations float in low Earth orbit as cooperative hubs for research into life support, materials science, and zero-gravity medicine. By the 1980s, astronauts from Africa, Asia, and South America walked on the lunar surface together. Joint missions to Mars launched in the 1990s revealed signs of ancient water long before any one nation could claim victory in the cosmos. Robotic outposts harvest solar power in orbit, beaming clean energy back to Earth. Telescopes map exoplanets with unprecedented detail, fueling dreams of human settlement beyond our world. Back on Earth, particle accelerators probe the fundamental building blocks of matter, worrying about weapons applications. Particle physicists publish unified theories of dark matter and dark energy a generation earlier. Biotechnologists engineer crops that thrive in extreme climates, ending food insecurity in regions once plagued by famine. Medical researchers develop universal vaccines capable of stopping pandemics before they start. Nanotechnology transforms manufacturing, healing wounds with self-assembling materials and cleaning polluted rivers, molecule by molecule. Engineers design modular high-speed transit networks, linking continents by vacuum tube trains traveling at hypersonic speeds. Undersea tunnels and solar-powered aircraft render traditional borders obsolete, turning geography into a canvas for human ingenuity. Open-source software powers global education platforms, teaching every child in their native language. Every breakthrough feeds the next in a cascade of progress unbroken by war's disruption. The entire scientific community dedicates resources to preventing existential threats. From asteroids to early detection systems spot dangerous near-Earth objects decades before impact, allowing humanity time to deflect them as one species. Climate modeling centers share supercomputing power so no nation hides data that could save lives. Exploration missions to Europa and Enceladus search for life beneath alien ice, powered by multinational crews. By mid-century, humanity stands on the brink of interstellar travel. This is a world where science and technology serve the common good, unburdened by conflict, where every engineer, every researcher, every dreamer contributes to a shared vision of progress and possibility. Chapter 4: United Humanity. Cultural fusion over conflict. Imagine a world where borders are lines on maps, not barriers in hearts. Cultures blend seamlessly as music, art, and cuisine flow freely between communities. Language barriers fall as schools teach multiple tongues, and children grow up bilingual by choice, not necessity. Festivals celebrate shared histories instead of remembering past battles. Every corner of the globe becomes a classroom for empathy and understanding. Artists collaborate across continents to create new styles that honor every tradition. Musicians remix rhythms from Africa with melodies from Asia, fused with beats from the Americas. Writers translate each other's stories in real time, weaving tales that span deserts, jungles, and cities. Chefs craft dishes that combine spices from ancient Silk Road trade routes with modern techniques, feeding bodies and souls alike. Dance troupes perform hybrid forms that tell the story of a united humanity. Tourists don't visit as outsiders, They arrive as guests invited to live and learn. Families open their homes to travelers who become neighbors and friends. Community centers host cultural exchanges where lessons on history focused on cooperation instead of conquest. Universities establish global campuses where students from every background study side by side, solving problems together instead of competing for scarce resources. In this world, every story matters and every voice is heard. Media broadcasts highlight human achievements rather than reporting conflicts. Documentaries showcase collaborative projects, building schools, hospitals, and parks in every city. Podcasts feature conversations between elders from different cultures, sharing wisdom and laughter. Bookshelves everywhere hold works from authors whose names would never have crossed borders in a world at war. Through cultural fusion, we build a tapestry of shared identity. Differences become strengths, and diversity becomes the source of our greatest innovations. No one fears, because there is no other. We are all citizens of Earth, learning, growing, and celebrating together. Chapter 5. The Economy of Peace. What thrives when war disappears? Imagine a global budget freed from military spending. Trillions of dollars are redirected into schools, hospitals, and infrastructure. High-speed rail networks link cities and countries, cutting travel times and carbon emissions. Affordable housing projects rise in every region, eliminating homelessness and stabilizing communities. Small businesses flourish as microloans reach entrepreneurs. In remote villages, innovators develop local solutions with global impact, from water purification startups to solar-powered irrigation systems. Education becomes universally accessible, with digital classrooms and real-time tutoring for every child. Healthcare transforms as universal coverage funds, preventive medicine, and mental health services. Pandemics are stopped in their tracks by rapid testing and distribution of vaccines. Clean energy grids, powered by wind, solar, and geothermal, replace fossil fuels, driving down energy costs. A green manufacturing boom creates millions of skilled jobs in sustainable industries. Cities reinvent themselves with vertical farms, green roofs, and smart grid technology. Rural areas thrive through cooperatives that process agricultural products locally, keeping profits in the community. Trade balances shift as exports of renewable technology and eco-friendly innovations soar. Former defense contractors repurpose factories to build electric vehicles, wind turbines, and advanced medical devices. Financial markets stabilize without the unpredictability of war, encouraging long-term investment in research and development. Governments collaborate on global economic policies that prioritize well-being over growth, measuring success in happiness and health instead of GDP alone. Tax revenues fund universal basic income pilots, reducing poverty and giving citizens the freedom to pursue creative and social ventures. Microfinance networks expand, empowering women and marginalized groups to start businesses and lift families out of poverty. International development transforms into partnership rather than charity, with equal voices at the table. Infrastructure projects span continents. Renewable energy highways deliver power across oceans, not bullets. Ecotourism replaces the arms trade as nations compete to protect biodiversity and cultural heritage. Investments in public transportation and cycling networks reduce traffic and pollution. Rural broadband brings connectivity to every home, unlocking education, healthcare, and entrepreneurial opportunities. Financial systems shift toward ethical banking and social impact bonds, funding projects that deliver measurable benefits to society. In a world without war, economies grow sustainably and equitably, lifting every nation and every individual toward a shared prosperity. Chapter 6. A peaceful planet facing bigger foes. Imagine humanity united against threats that truly endanger us all. There are no armies divided by borders, only teams of experts racing to save our world. Climate change becomes the great mobilizer, rallying governments and citizens in common cause. Massive reforestation campaigns reclaim deserts and revive dying ecosystems. Oceans heal as plastic cleanup fleets operate around the clock without fear of attack. Glaciers are stabilized by artificial cooling technologies developed through global research. Early warning systems for wildfires, floods, and hurricanes are powered by shared satellite data. Disaster relief becomes instantaneous, with supplies airdropped by cooperative fleets instead of warships. Pandemics are stopped at their source by transparent data sharing and collaborative vaccine development. Superbugs are defeated through open access antibiotic research and global stewardship programs. Asteroid deflection projects launched decades before any threat reaches Earth, backed by every nation's resources. Volcano monitoring stations networked worldwide give vulnerable communities precious time to evacuate. Cybersecurity teams work together to shut down global hacking attempts and protect vital infrastructure. Space-based solar shields are designed to deflect harmful radiation and safeguard satellites. Geoengineering trials deploy carbon-scrubbing devices across reducing atmospheric CO at unprecedented speed. Scientific teams partner with indigenous communities to preserve biodiverse habitats and traditional knowledge. Global health coalitions eradicate diseases once thought incurable, bringing an end to suffering that spans centuries. Every scientist, every engineer, and every policymaker shares one goal: protect the planet and its people. This world reminds us that the greatest enemy isn't each other. It's the neglect of our shared home and our responsibility to future generations. Chapter 7. Could war still exist in other forms? Even in a world without traditional warfare, new battles emerge. The fight shifts from bullets to ballots, and from trenches to town halls. Economic warfare takes shape as sanctions and trade wars target nations to gain advantage. Corporations wage their own conflicts through hostile takeovers and monopolistic tactics. Cyber attacks become the new front line. Power grids, hospital, and financial systems under siege without a single shot fired. Disinformation campaigns erode trust in institutions as ghost armies of trolls manipulate public opinion. Resource conflicts persist over water rights, rare earth minerals, and digital bandwidth. Legal battles replace battlefield strategy as patents and data rights become weapons. Surveillance expands under the guise of security, raising new questions about privacy and freedom. Automated weapons systems and AI algorithms can carry out harm at machine speed, blurring lines between defense and aggression. Environmental degradation becomes a silent war on communities forced to relocate by rising seas and toxic pollution. Social inequality fuels unrest when populations left behind by progress demand justice and opportunity. In this new landscape, vigilance remains vital. Checks and balances must guard against corporate overreach and government overreach alike. International courts and arbitration panels handle conflicts that once led to invasions. Ethical frameworks guide AI development to prevent autonomous systems from waging unchecked campaigns. Digital literacy and media transparency empower citizens to spot manipulation and hold actors accountable. Conflict resolution adapts to focus on dialogue, restorative justice, and community. In a peaceful world, the hardest fights may be against complacency, corruption, and the erosion of common ground. Chapter 8. Conclusion. This journey shows that war is not inevitable. It is a habit we can break. Peace is more than silence between gunshots. It is justice, upheld, equity, practiced, and trust built. Every choice we make, how we resolve disputes, how we allocate resources, how we teach our children, shapes this reality. Each act of compassion, each policy of inclusion, each project of collaboration nudges us closer to the world we imagined. The path will not be easy. Old wounds healed slowly, and new challenges demand vigilance. But the alternative, accepting war as normal, costs us our highest potential. Boom! Science invites you to carry this vision forward, discuss it, debate it, and design real solutions that echo the possibilities we explored. Share this thought experiment with your community and challenge the stories that justify violence. Because when we choose peace as intentionally as we choose conflict, we redefine what is possible. A world without war begins with one peaceful choice at a time. Let's start today, together, to build the future we deserve.